English in the Workplace is a program that's been around since 1993, and it's designed to help newcomer employees do their jobs more effectively. So really working on their workplace communication skills. And the program is designed in conjunction with both the employee and the employer. So they work together with the instructor to design a curriculum that's tailored to that particular job. One of the first steps of the process is the instructor will do a needs assessment with both the employee and the employer. Then they work together to design a curriculum that focuses on the workplace communication needs that the employee needs to effectively do their jobs. So this could take many different forms. They could be working on writing communication such as email or report writing. They could be looking at telephone communication skills because talking in a second language on the telephone can be extremely challenging. Depending on the language level of the learner, they could be working, if they're lower levels, they might be working on simple terminology or workplace language. But if they're a higher level, then they might be working on more complex language skills such as negotiation or running a meeting or something along those lines. So the program itself is 12 weeks long, and after they've done the needs assessment and built the curriculum, then the instructor will meet with the client twice a week for a 90-minute session. And in those sessions, they'll work with authentic workplace materials. So they'll actually be focusing on the real communication skills that the employee needs to do that job. English in the Workplace has 4 instructors, and we currently work with approximately 100 learners per year. The overall goals of the program are to work with newcomers to improve their workplace communication skills so they can thrive on the job. The short-term outcomes of the program are really to give employees the language that they need to do that job that day so that they can be effective in their jobs. We also want our newcomer employees to understand Canadian workplace culture norms. Often their struggles are around language or communication, but sometimes it's actually around understanding the invisible rules, a cultural navigator in understanding the workplace norms on that work site. One of the other outcomes of the program is actually to increase employers' capacity to work with newcomers. So what are invisible rules? Every workplace has invisible rules, and these are the norms that long-term employees instinctively understand. But if you're new to the organization, and particularly if you're a newcomer, you may find these rules, and I use rules loosely, confusing. For example, is an 8 o'clock start time? Does that actually mean you're at your desk working, or does it mean you're just rolling in the door and getting a cup of coffee? When you want to talk to your boss, do you have to schedule an appointment in advance, or can you just walk in their door and say, hello, can I talk to you right now? It can include a lot of different components of cultural competency. This could range from anything from time management to hierarchy to personal distance. So these are the invisible rules that the English in the Workplace instructor can help the newcomer employee navigate and understand so that they can adapt to their workplace better. So one of the unintended outcomes of the program was increasing employer awareness of the benefits of hiring newcomers. Nowadays, we actually have several employer champions of the program, which is a huge benefit when you're trying to encourage other employers to uptake it. One of these outcomes has been a huge increase in newcomers' confidence at the workplace, and that has really helped enhance their job performance. Another one has been improved relationships with their Canadian colleagues. Sometimes the newcomers really struggle with small talk or social interactions at the workplace, and that's often compounded by anxiety. So this increased confidence can improve their overall work performance right across the board. So not just their technical skills and not just their work competency, but they're also their ability to integrate and adapt to their new Canadian workplace and to fit in, which is a very popular employer expression, I think. So,
the unique and novel features that contribute to making the program successful are the fact that we tailor the program specifically to their needs. It's not an everyday English in the classroom type program. It's specific to the needs for their job. So one example of working on specific language with English in the workplace is if a client needs specific vocabulary, such as chemical engineering vocabulary, the instructor will take that language, possibly learn the language themselves, learn the proper pronunciation, and then bring that back to the client and teach the client how to use the word, how to pronounce the word. It's depending on the workplace, it changes all the time. We conduct 3 meetings with the employer and the employee. So at the very beginning of the semester, we do a needs assessment with both the employer and the employee separately. Then we create the objectives based on that. So then again, midway through the program, we meet with both the employer and the employee to do another needs assessment and then readjust any of the objectives if necessary. Then at the very end of the program, again, we meet with the employer and the employee to do a final report with both of them and gather feedback from both of them on the program and its effectiveness.
A little over a year ago, ISANS had an independent academic evaluation done of the English in the Workplace program. It was a Pathways to Prosperity project, and the research was conducted by Dalhousie University. The researchers came to 5 conclusions. The first finding was that this type of language training really increases communication skills and confidence levels, which really help newcomers integrate into the workplace. The second one is that newcomers were much better able to draw on their existing skills as well as enhancing new ones. The third finding was that this type of training really enhances worker relations. It also helps newcomers adapt to Canadian workplace norms while encouraging local workers and employers to learn new ways and be respectful of new ways of doing things. The final finding was that it increased employer capacity to support newcomers and also increased their likelihood of hiring more newcomers.
So most programs that we do have 3 identified primary outcomes. Towards the end of the program, we reflect with the participant and with the employers on how well they have achieved those outcomes. It's hard to say exactly a specific measuring tool because the outcomes that we're looking for can be so varied. So we have to adapt our tools for measuring those outcomes for each unique learning program.
In the past, we've often measured EWP success through interviews and through testimonials from employers and newcomer employees alike.
One example of a success story for English in the workplace would be a client who was working in the IT field. The employer had no complaints with regard to her job. The reason why he wanted support for this client was because the client would not make eye contact, always looking down, would never speak up in meetings, and this didn't fit in with the workplace culture, and he was struggling. When I worked with the client one-on-one and we had long conversations, I actually had the experience to see my client at one point, probably midway through, have an aha moment. And after that aha moment, the employer actually emailed me and said, "What have you done?" He said it was amazing that the program had really worked for her. And she also commented that she felt so much more at ease and so much more comfortable because she was also of the generation in Asia that you did not make eye contact. So yeah, she was just thrilled at the end, and so was the employer.
Another EWP newcomer client that I worked with in my time in the program as an instructor. This newcomer was trying to get her business off the ground. She had been a successful businesswoman in her home country, but was struggling a little bit with the marketplace here in Canada. For example, she was very puzzled by many Canadians' tendency to say, I'll think about it, when actually they meant, no, I don't think this is for me. So we worked on those kind of communication events and the ways that Canadians often express themselves indirectly, and that helped her to become a more effective business person. One of the clients that I had worked with was struggling with integrating into his workplace. Interestingly, it was a very diverse workplace, and he was coming from a very monocultural workplace. So the concern from the employer was those kind of soft skills and expectations of effective interaction with your colleagues in the workplace. And at the end of the term, he was interacting with them more, going to people and asking questions, because the particular culture that he came from, it was a little more difficult to ask colleagues for help. Whereas in the collaborative environment that he was working in now, that was an expectation of the workplace. So our newcomer participants in this program are often very happy, especially with the fact that they have a voice in the planning of the program. But we listen to their needs and what they want to achieve and use that. Well, it's really central to the study plan.
I think one of the strongest indicators of support for the EWP program is the fact that our provincial government has been supporting it for almost 3 decades, and that our federal funders are really starting to recognize the value of this program. Some of the challenges in implementing English in the workplace, I think from a funding perspective, is that it's quite an expensive program to run. It is primarily one-on-one or small group tutoring with very specific tailored curriculum. I think when we talk to partners across the country, other SPOs, that's one of the issues that they struggle with, is how to make it more cost effective. One of the ways that you can make it more cost effective is to try and set up small groups. Either if there's more than one newcomer employee at the workplace, to set up a small group in that regard, or if you can find like-minded employers with similar needs, then you could set up small groups that way. An example of that might be housekeeping staff at a hotel, because they are similar to jobs with similar communication skills. So you could potentially ask 2 employers to partner together to teach their staff.
One of our biggest requests from our employers over the last few years was to be able to deliver more of our programs online. So traditionally, English in the workplace was an in-person service and class, and we almost always did our sessions in person, which greatly limited our range. Starting even before the COVID-19 closures, we started working more with our online learning strategy team to look at other ways that we could deliver this same service via distance, primarily through Big Blue Button to start. But now we have additional tools that we have developed, both from the feedback from our employers, so that we can extend that range by offering virtual classes through the internet anywhere that high-speed broadband is available. This could theoretically also be done, and has on occasion being done, via the standard good old reliable telephone. So anywhere that internet reaches, this program can be delivered. Anywhere that the phone reaches, the program could in some form be delivered. The program is focused on English in the workplace. So basically, any kind of working situation that newcomer clients would encounter would be encompassed within the range of possible applications of this program. Anytime there are any language gaps or workplace culture gaps that could be addressed, we can deliver that product through this program.